Men då hälsar jag välkommen och byter språk till Ina Laura Perkins. You're the CEO of Scandinavian Realheart. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
How do you do?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here again.
It's great to have you here. I know there's a lot of things happening with your company, so I will hand it over to you to give us a presentation, and I'll be back in about 20-25 minutes for some extra questions.
Good, thanks.
Go ahead.
So my name is Ina Laura Perkins, and I'm the CEO of Scandinavian Realheart. And we have done a lot since I was here the last time. So starting from October, we were featured in a German TV documentary. This was prime time in German television, and it featured a celebrity in Germany who explored what it's like to be a heart failure patient, to receive a transplant, and the new research and development in this area. So Realheart was featured as one of the promising new technologies to treat heart failure. We also completed our third animal implantation and discovered that we need to continue to work on some of the surgical parameters. And in November, we announced in our Q3 report that we had started our Australian subsidiary. Why do we have a subsidiary in Australia? It's because Australia has a great history in the development of heart pumps, especially controllers, with development of 8 controllers for LVADs and 1 for a total artificial heart by the partner that we have, Hydrix. And by having a subsidiary in Australia, it means that we can invest in Australia in R&D and receive a 43% cashback that we can reinvest. So we're, 1, gaining lots of experience and expertise this way, and 2, it's a good way to make our money go further. And we presented also at Skills and Nyhetsbrevet in November, and we communicated that there are 3 data packages that one should keep an eye on as an investor. It's our blood tests, it's our animal studies, and our sustainability studies. And with our animal studies, we reached a great new milestone in January where we kept an animal alive for 4 days. 4 days may be a short time thinking about how long a heart failure patient will live with this device, but this is in the range of what was required by our European competitor to reach clinical trials. I'll go into more in detail about this later. And in January, we're also very happy to announce that this is the first human patient simulator in Sweden that we have developed. We did this collaboration together with the Royal Institute of Technology. It was also supported by the ETH Zurich in Switzerland, and we received Vinnova funding to create this first really unique patient simulator in Sweden. It means we'll be able to do R&D faster and more efficient. We have also strengthened our medical advisory board. So Ulf Kjellman is a cardiac surgeon. He was actually already on the board of Realheart in the early days, and then he left for the Middle East and helped set up transplantation and implantation programs of heart pumps, of total artificial hearts in Saudi, and he has then come back to Sweden, and with all of this gained experience and network in the Middle East, joins us back. So the company was developed in 2007, founded by Azad Najjar, medical doctor, and we listed on Nasdaq First North Growth in 2021. Before that, we were in Spotlight. We have 3 sites, so we do all of our product development in Västerås, and then we do the controller development in Australia. And in Stockholm, at the largest hospital, we have the human blood tests of heart pumps. With our team, we're about 50 to 60 globally, but our staff is 12 in Västerås. And we've raised 18 million euros to date in equity investments and over 5 million euros in soft capital. So this includes grants and innovation loans. And what we use this money for is to develop the world's first 4-chamber artificial heart. And we're doing the preclinical testing and product development. And this is intended to be a permanent replacement for heart failure patients. The team we have is myself. I'm a biomedical scientist with a background in blood innovations, focusing on stem cells and heart failure, and then going on to being the head of research at Callan Cardio, developing a new LVAD. We also have Martin Cook. He's our Chief of Operations. He's taken 2 heart pumps to market in the EU and the US and won the Australian Design Prize 2 times for heart pump design. Another star in our team is Thomas Finocchiaro. He's our CTO. He joined us from our competitor, Realheart, and he has over decades of experience of developing artificial hearts. Another unique member of our team is Oliver Voigt. He used to be the CEO, general manager of SynCardia in Europe. So he has developed the total artificial heart market from 2 countries in Europe to 26 countries in Europe and the Middle East. So if anybody knows how to sell an artificial heart, it is Oliver. And we have our vision that no one should die from heart failure. And this is because this is a very deadly disease that's affecting a large number of people worldwide. So 64 million patients suffer from heart failure worldwide, and 50% of patients die within 5 years of their diagnosis. So the best treatment is still a heart transplant, but there's only 8,000 available. So you have this great mismatch between the need and the availability. And if we look at what that means in numbers, in Sweden, 3,500 patients die per year, and there are only 60 transplants. So it means that approximately 2% of patients actually get access to a transplant. And looking at the market, we've asked cardiac surgeons, well, if you had an artificial heart today, like how many patients would you implant it into? And they say about 20% of the LVAD market. And so that's a very conservative way of looking at the market size. And if we look at the number of artificial hearts sold today, SynCardia is about 130 per year. However, if you look at how many patients actually need an artificial heart, our estimates show that we are in the range of 130,000 patients. Multiply that by the price of a SynCardia, which is $125,000, you end up with a 16 billion US dollar total market potential. Okay, and what is news in the heart pump world is Carmat just came out with their financial projections. So Carmat is our European competitor. They started sales in November 2022, and for this year, they're estimating to sell over 100 implants, 100 artificial hearts, at a projected forecast of 10 to 13 million euros. So it shows that this is really a blue ocean market, and the clinicians just need an artificial heart that is better than what's out there today. So the treatment options for heart failure now, it means medication at the initial stage. This only cures it only treats the symptoms. It does not cure, okay? So the heart failure patients, they will progress in their disease. And initially, if you have also cardiac rhythm problems, you'll get a pacemaker. Or if you have problems with the heart stopping, you'll get a defibrillator. The patients that develop really severe heart failure, so this is New York Heart Stage 3 on the left side, they'll be candidates for a heart pump, which is called a left ventricular assist device. 20 to 50% of these patients, they develop also failure on the right side. So then they need a total artificial heart. But of course, you could also progress from with the biventricular, so both left and right side failure initially. So here you can see the SynCardia, which is the market-leading artificial heart. So if we compare to the competitors, SynCardia is driven by pneumatics, so pressurized air. If you have that, you have a lot of sound, you have double drive lines, external weight that's heavy, and a very short battery life. So moving away from pressurized air to direct energy, you have then a silent system, one drive line, lower weight, and a greater battery life. And we have actually a very energy efficient solution with 4 times greater battery life than SynCardia and 3 times greater than the Carmat from what we have measured in our labs. The pump size is larger, but compared to Carmat, we have 2 pumps, so we can optimize the placement based on the patient's anatomy. And we've tested our pump regarding compared to the SynCardia using human blood, and we have great results, which I'll show you. Carmat, they've not done comparator test with another pump, and results from blood labs are always relative, so you always have to have another pump to compare to. And for Bivacor, what we've seen is that they test on cow blood, and cow blood is much, much more strong compared to human blood, and we think that we're developing these pumps for patients, so it's more relevant to test the human blood, which is a higher clinical significance. We're making our pump to be easy to manufacture. We've received awards for automation of our production, and it has sensors so that it pumps as much blood as the human body needs. And we're the only pump that has atria, so we can provide a better atrial compliance with minimized risk for suction. And of course, we've designed the pump as a human heart, so we can provide the physiological pulsatility in a unique way. So there are 4 success factors that we look at for developing our artificial heart. So we should not have impact on blood, so we get away from these blood-related complications that the heart pump industry is fraught with. And we should integrate well with the human body, because it's used to having a natural pulse. Then the patient should be living a normal life with an artificial heart. So it means it should be silent, it should be having a long battery life, it should be comfortable to wear, and of course, lower complication rate. And then the surgeons should think it's easy, relatively easy to implant, okay? An artificial heart implantation can take up to 16 hours, and we have the aim to go down to 2, and that's why we work with a network of 8 cardiac surgeons, and we're using our own patented connectors. So how do we address these success factors? Well, for the no organ failure, no circulatory side effects, we're working with pressure sensors and an algorithm to do auto-regulation, producing a good natural pulsatile flow. We have light accessories, single lead, and high battery life for good quality of life. We have our connectors and our dual pumps, and of course our cardiac surgeon expertise for easy implantation. And then to have minimal impact on blood, we're designing it in a way where it's hemocompatible, has a natural pulsatility, and these atria for a natural blood flow. So overall, it does fulfill the stakeholders' demands for the patients with the less complications, increased quality of life, for example, the surgeon with a short surgery time and a standardized surgery process. And what maybe one doesn't think about is, if you reduce these complications, you're making it a more cost-efficient therapy, because the patients are not going back to the hospital over and over again to treat the complication rates. So it makes a better situation for the financiers of the treatment. And the hospital, of course, they want to be able to say that they have an artificial heart program that is the best for the patient. And usually for hospitals, if they have an artificial heart program, it'll actually increase the number of other types of treatments that the patients come there. So patients usually think, oh, this hospital has artificial hearts, then it must be the best. So I should go there also for other types of treatments. So it's an interesting indirect effect. So looking at the human heart, that's our inspiration for making the best artificial heart. So the human heart, it has a left and a right side, and has 2 atria and 2 ventricles. And in between, it has a valve plane. And every time the heart pumps, this valve plane moves downwards. So you can see this downward movement. It was discovered by Swedish researcher Stig Lundbäck as the primary way that the human heart pumps. And this is what we copy. So in the Realheart, we also have a left and a right side. And we have 2 atria and 2 ventricles. And in between, a valve plane, and it moves downwards with each pumping. And we can control the way that this pumps in the same way as a human heart. So we can control the pulse, the stroke volume, and the percent systole. And also, because there are 2 pumps, and this is something that's quite difficult to do typically in artificial hearts, but because we have the 2 pumps and we can control them independently, we can achieve what's called a left-right balance. So this means that we can beautifully balance the amount of blood that goes to the lungs versus the blood that goes to the body. And also, the pump, the side that pumps to the body, it should pump a little bit more than the one that pumps to the lungs. And this is because the lungs also needs oxygenized blood. So this is called the bronchial circulation. So we can actually do this really neatly by just increasing the stroke volume a little bit more on the left side. Our innovations are patented, and we have 8 patent families, protection until 2037 in the main markets. So we follow a strategy of patenting in the main markets for artificial hearts, and then also the upcoming markets. So this is Europe, US, and then upcoming China and India. And our portfolio doesn't just cover the Realheart, it also covers the miniaturized future version, which is intended for female users and smaller patients. It's called the mini heart. What's beautiful with this is that the externals are the same. So the controller, the batteries, the lead, that will all be the same for Realheart, mini heart. All we do is we just shrink the Realheart down to a smaller version. But to really live a normal life with an artificial heart, one doesn't want to have a cable. So we are also having this very highly energy efficient system, which will be possible to use for TETs or wireless energy transfer via the skin in the future. But our patent portfolio also covers use of the technology as a VAD and as, for example, ECMO or heart-lung machine. So to get to the market, we asked the FDA in a meeting, what do we need to do? Well, you need to deliver 3 data packages: blood studies, in vivo studies, and reliability studies. And that's what we're working on in our preclinical testing. So for hemolysis, equal or less than a clinical comparator animal trial. There we're looking at what our competitor has done. They implanted 4 animals, 2 lived for 4 days, 1 for 8 days, and 1 for 10 days. So this is what we're looking at as our target. And for reliability, submerging systems into a saltwater bath and letting them pump for 6 months. And here we have great results from earlier prototypes and for components, and we're getting ready for our clinical version. And then this will lead to doing a small clinical trials in humans. And this target is in 2024, so we're aiming to be in the clinic in 2024, starting a first-in-human study. And if we look at what has been done before, French competitor, they implanted 14 patients, and then they received the CE mark. So we're imagining that this is going to be in the range of what we need to do as well. And then, but we also work in parallel towards the US, and because we want to be prepared for both markets in the end, aiming for a market launch in 2025 to 2026. We believe we need 40 million euros to reach the market. And we received already the EIC Accelerator Award, which is giving us 2.5 million euros and a nomination for 15 million euro equity investment. So to reach the clinic, we are working a lot with key opinion leaders. So we have a lot of good relationships already. We have clinicians in Italy, Germany, and the US who are saying that they're happy to help us progress towards clinical trials and have expressed their support. So we have clinical collaborators, academic collaborators, and industry partners. And when it comes to our research, we're focusing on ensuring it's compatible, it's functional, and it's reliable. So our results so far show really, really good functionality, compatibility, and reliability. When it comes to this study here, it's one of the first of its kind. So we're using MRI to really evaluate how the heart is pumping and comparing it to the natural human heart in collaboration with Linköping University. We have also shown at Karolinska University Hospital, we have 60% less hemolysis than the market leader. And this we do in these types of test rigs. So this is just looks like a lot of boxes and stuff, but it's actually like a human patient on the bench. Here are our results. So 40% hemolysis in the Realheart compared to the market leader. And in our animal studies, we've shown that we have physiological flow, which is really pulsatile, also translates to pressure pulsatility in the aorta. We have strong, good blood pressure and oxygen saturation, and a good left-right balance. So 4-day survival, and we didn't see any hemolysis, and this is crucial for the complication rate in patients. So you do not want to see hemolysis, which is great that we didn't see it. We also did not see any blood clots in any other organs, so no thromboembolic events. We had a short procedure, so less than 2.5 hours heart-lung machine time, and we believe we can reduce this further, so we've identified ways to optimize. The animal needs more blood than the human, so we reached 8 liters of blood per minute, so this is what we've seen in the lab, and we could confirm it in vivo, and a good left-right balance. And something else is that we were also able to exchange the controller. So this is something that's done in the clinic for artificial heart patients. Every now and then you may need to change the controller. It means a controlled heart stop. So we were able to remove the controller, the heart was stopped, we put it back, and the heart and the sheep continued to live. So the bottom here shows that on the left you have a natural heart, on the right you have a real heart. On the right, there's no ECG detection because there's no heart in place, no natural heart in place, but we still see great physiological pulsatile pressure, good central venous pressure, and oxygen saturation. Here's just a picture of the plasma. So you'd expect, if with hemolysis, to see a color change towards orange or red. We have perfectly beautiful yellow plasma. Right now, we have a stock option opportunity. So during February, one can buy these stock options. And so this is something that is still trading, and it doesn't matter really what I say. I think this is a great project, but all that matters is what the clinicians say, and they're so far very positive. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so very much, Ina Laura. It's really amazing to hear what you're able to do already. So I will go on with some of the questions that we have received. First out, what will be the business model for TAH?
So it will be the same as for this type of products like pacemakers and heart pumps, and we're going to do direct sales. So we've put together our marketing and sales plan together with Oliver for how we're planning to sell this in the EU and then going to other countries.
If all the studies, clinical and so on, and the product development goes as planned, when can we see the first artificial heart from you on the market?
So we're aiming for 2025, 2026. Provided everything goes to plan, with the clinical trials starting in 2024.
Yeah, mentioning that clinical trial in 2024, how is that actually being made? Could you describe that?
So during the year now, we're doing our preclinical studies and communicating with the regulatory authorities. So we're really gathering all of the data that we need and doing the communication. So yeah, our aim is to do our first implant in 2024.
Could you tell us something more about this patient simulator or hybrid test lab that you have together with KTH?
Yes. So a patient simulator is a very type of unique technology that's needed in developing heart pumps and artificial hearts. And this is like existing in a handful of countries, so Australia, the US, Germany, but we haven't had one in Sweden, which has meant that we have to travel to do these studies. And having now the first one in Sweden is not only great for us, but it's available at KTH for other companies in this that are doing cardiac-related innovations. So for us, it means that we can do more in the shorter time. And one thing we're going to use it for is also looking at the impact on smaller patients. So we're now working on developing the Realheart, but our aim is also to make the smaller version mini heart for female patients. And the patient simulator will be able to identify exactly what should be those dimensions.
So that is an exact copy, but smaller? Or is it any other differences?
Yes, it is an exact copy of the implantable pump, but smaller. And it's great because then we can use the same controller and perk lead and batteries. So we don't have to completely do a whole new product. It's just a smaller version and utilizing a lot of synergies in between them.
Yeah, I also got some questions regarding your patents. What is do not have for China and India, for instance? Why not?
Oh, we do have patents there. Yes, we do have patents there. And last year we also got 2 new U.S. patents.
Yeah.
So
what is your strategy regarding your IP portfolio?
So regarding our IP portfolio, our strategy is to, of course, cover the current products in the main markets, but also to patent something that can be out-licensed. Like we have the sternal prosthesis, so this is something that can be used for other types of thorax surgeries where you need to reopen the chest. So here we could, for example, look for a partner for out-licensing. Another new patent of ours is, for example, pressure sensors. They could also be relevant to other companies. So we want to focus on developing the Realheart, but we're open to licensing opportunities for these other patents.
Another question. A long time ago, you started cooperation with an investor in the United Emirates.
In the UAE, yeah.
UAE,
yes.
Exactly. What is the status on this?
So the status is that we continue to market ourselves in the Middle East. And Azad, for example, he is traveling there as we speak, and we have received a lot of interest. So I'll leave it at that, but we are marketing ourselves actively there.
Okay. Sorry. What is the status on patents in Germany and Canada?
So we do the PCT application and then cover in the EU. I think for that specific question, I would revert to my colleague in IP. But we can maybe do that one separately. I'm happy to make a little social media clarification on that, for example.
Okay. That was all the questions that I had for today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, and good luck going forward.